and welcome to this week's episode of ECCB Connects. This week we'll be looking at the ECCB 2017-2018 annual report. Governor Antoine will give an account of the bank's performance for the year and the focus for the new financial year. Governor, welcome to ECCB Connects.
Thank you, Shamalon. It's great to be back.
The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank published its annual report for the financial year ended 31st March 2018. That report was published on 28th of June. And of course, the big news there again this time is profit, second year in a row.
So yes, we recorded an increased profit. But before I get to that, let me just commend you and the team for the great job done with our annual report this year. Evidently, we've given you guys creative license. And for those who have not yet seen our report, I would strongly encourage you to look at it on our website. The videos and all in there, and it's really a very nice product. All in-house, so that is a particularly pleasing development. And again, I commend you and the team for that. In terms of profitability, yes, we have focused on this issue. From day one, we've said we have to restore profitability and improve. And it's very good that, again, we were able to record a profit and, in fact, an increased profit. We did about 10.8 million this year compared to 6.3 last year. So we're moving in the right direction, as we said we would. And what that does is it allows us then to improve or to replenish our general reserves. Because what happened is that in the years when we made losses, we drew down on our general reserves. And now what we're doing is that we're not distributing, we're not paying out dividends or profit sharing to the governments at this stage. What we're doing is actually building back our reserves, our general reserves, which is, I think, an important and the sensible thing to do from a financial management perspective. And
you mentioned the way the profits are normally distributed. Just go a little bit into that in terms of how, when ECCB makes a profit or even a loss, how that is taken care of.
Right. So that's a good question because perhaps not many people know this, but typically what we've done for many years is to distribute profit to our governments. And there's a simple formula that we use based on circulation of currency in each country. So we know exactly the circulation levels and we're able to use that as a basis to determine who gets what. Now, that's all good, well and good when you're making profit. In theory, if we make losses, we're also supposed to, as a government, to make a contribution to cover our losses. Now, as a practical matter, we don't. And so that is why I think it is appropriate and fair that at this stage, certainly we did it last year, we did it again this year, rather than distribute the profits, we've put it to basically replenish our general reserves. And I think the governments are fully supportive of that. Certainly the board, on our recommendation, has approved that approach.
We now look at what you termed the most significant achievement of the bank for the 2017-2018 financial year, the launch of the bank's strategic plan. Now, to what extent did you achieve the objectives set out for the financial year with respect to the strategic plan?
I think from the standpoints of strategic management and accountability, it's important for us to have that strategic plan. The plan really, captures our shared vision for how we transform the currency union together. And so we have articulated in that plan some clear strategic goals and several strategic initiatives. And I think when you look at the annual report, you will see that we've delivered on most, if not all, of those strategic imperatives, initiatives. So for example, our goal number one, to maintain a strong EC dollar. Well, we maintain a backing. I think we averaged around 97% throughout the last year. So we delivered on that goal. The issue of a resilient and strong and resilient financial system, we have strengthened the system by taking steps, whether that is the rollout now of our risk-based supervisory framework, the additional on-site inspection of our banks and licensees. I think we've taken steps there. And then initiatives like getting our credit bureau going. We launched the RFP for that, and that's a process we now entrain. We certainly move forward with the passage of legislation to enable our partial credit guarantee scheme. We set up the Eastern Caribbean Asset Management Corporation. So we can point to very specific things in our strategic plan where we have delivered. And the annual report is an accountability tool. So people can check the plan, check the report, and see what progress we've made. So on that front, I'm very encouraged, frankly satisfied with what we've done this year.
So, Governor, you highlighted two of the pillars, the achievements under two of the pillars, but there are 5 pillars. We also have fiscal and debt sustainability, growth, competitiveness, and employment, and organizational effectiveness. Just briefly, some of the major achievements under those pillars.
Well, yeah, I'm going to go back to pillar 1 just for a sec to say that on the question of a strong EC dollar, one of the things that we did that is extremely important is that we revised our reserve asset management framework. Now, this is, for example, we now have a new investment policy, a new performance benchmark to manage our reserves, strategic asset allocation. Now, for the public, they don't see that. That's behind the scenes. But that is extremely important for the maintenance of a strong EC dollar. Because why is our dollar strong? Because of our reserves. And we manage those reserves using a combination of an internal investment unit and external money managers. So we were able to go to our board and have all of these approved. New investment policy, new strategic asset allocation, new benchmark. We also revised our reserve asset management committee, or reserve management committee, which is a committee within the bank that oversees that process and reports to our board. So I am actually pleased with that effort. It hadn't been done in 20 years, and I think it was a good time for us to do that overhaul.
And it's very important too, given that investments, those are one of the major ways the ECCB earns its income.
Correct. So we have about $1.8 billion on the reserves, $1.8 billion US dollars, that is. And you're absolutely right. Our main source of income is really interest earned on our reserves, most of which are invested in US Treasuries or what we call foreign securities. So that was a very important development. On debt, we continue to give advice to our countries on the debt management frameworks. Most countries now have a medium-term debt management framework, so I think that's a very important development. From the perspective of economic growth, I think we did 2 things I'll mention very briefly. One is the Growth and Resilience Dialogue, where we engaged social partners across the countries, then we brought them to the central bank, and we now have an action plan. That engagement is important because to transform the ECCU, it's not the governments alone, it's not ECCB alone, all hands on deck. And I think that is a very important piece in our governance setup, frankly spoken, that we were able to pursue. And then on organizational effectiveness, there are many things that we've done. We've done a lot of training across the bank. The same review of our reserves management framework I spoke about, we have done in partnership with the World Bank. And as a result of that, we've not only benefited from the staff in our investment unit going abroad and learning new things and improving their craft, but we've also had other members or other departments in the bank benefit as well from those training opportunities. And then we are now almost completed with our human resource strategy. It's a big piece in terms of how we want to position our bank, make sure that we have the right human resources, because at the end of the day, that's the most important resource we have. So on that front, we did make significant strides.
So overall, you sound like you're satisfied with what the achievements.
Well, I'm never fully satisfied. That's the nature of life. I'm always pressing forward. But certainly, I think when you look at our strategic plan, you look at what we set out to do, we are satisfied. We have made significant progress on the plan in the first year.
And one important aspect is that the plan has gained international attention, because I remember earlier in the year, a delegation from the Central Bank of Central African States came to the ECCB to get first-hand information about the plan, see it in action. So it's really taking off and gaining international attention.
It has. I get a lot of commendations. We get a lot of commendations for the plan. And I had an opportunity to meet with the governor of that central bank you just referred to in Switzerland a few weeks ago, and we had a very good exchange on their learnings. They really enjoyed coming to the central bank, our central bank, and he is going to come at some point as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Governor, achievements, but like you said, there's much to be done. What's the focus for the central bank for the new financial year?
So every day we ask ourselves, are we on plan and are we aligned? Because essentially we're working with a plan, and do not underestimate the power of a plan. For this year, 2018-2019, there's several things that we're pursuing. Obviously, we want to get the partial credit guarantee scheme off the ground. We know at the stage where 5 of our governments have passed legislation, and we're getting ready to actually, we have the new board in place, and we're hoping to be able to announce a launch in due course. Secondly, is a fintech pilot. This is a very important area. It's an emerging area. There's lots of interest, and so our plan is to work with our national regulators and our governments to develop essentially a framework for fintech regulation and supervision, and also a strategy to reduce our use of cash. And that is important to help boost growth and competitiveness in our economy. So that is something we definitely are targeting this year. We will also be migrating to polymer, so the public could look forward in due course to our new family of banknotes. That will be an exciting development because it's going to take us to another level in terms of currency, and the public will obviously, most important for us in that is security. So the public will feel even more secure about the currency they handle, and we're looking forward to that. Internally,
But before you go on, because you've mentioned polymer, it's a new concept. Just a little bit more about polymer. What does it mean for the public? What can the people expect with polymer?
Well, essentially, what we have now, our currency is paper. But the key is that it allows us to have significant additional security enhancements, which is key. And it also lasts significantly longer. So on balance, it is better for the environment. And we're also able to obviously come up with some very attractive designs in the process. So the public will be able to touch and feel that in due course. The Monetary Council recently approved the designs, and we're at the stage now where we basically finalizing the preparation to get into production. So that's an important perspective. That's an important development from the perspective of the public, because that's something they handle every single day. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. And then I mentioned internally, we are going to commence phase 1 of the greening of our campus. So if you notice, we're still on the environmental theme. We take that very seriously. We have a goal, if you look at our strategic plan, to become carbon neutral by 2022. And for us, that basically involves some investments in greening our campus. So we'll have solar PV set up. You'll see it in due course over car park and various buildings, and we expect to be able to generate essentially what we consume and reduce carbon emissions. So we're talking the talk and we're walking the walk. In other words, we're not just complaining that we're hardest hit by climate change, lowest emitters hardest hit, but even amongst ourselves and even at a small central bank, but a leading central bank, we are prepared to do what we can to lower carbon emissions. And we're making that investment starting this year.
What's your final word for the people of the currency union?
Well, I think join us in implementation. So again, I want to commend the strategic plan, because that's our overarching framework. I would urge everyone, not just in the ECCU, but outside, to look at our strategic plan and become an implementation partner. We believe we have to transform this region, and we have to do it by implementing some key reforms and undertaking some key investments. And we have to do it together. We're absolutely better together. That's the history of our currency union. In fact, we're just celebrating our 42nd anniversary of the peg to the US dollar. So since 1976, 42 years, we have had a fixed exchange rate regime in respect of a peg to the US dollar, 1 to 2.7. That's a tremendous achievement. And I want to pay tribute to our founding fathers and framers of the Monetary Union, including our past governors, members of the Monetary Council, board, staff, past, present, deceased, for that contribution, and ultimately the people of our region, because together we've done something that has stood the test of time. And in this volatile world, in this global economy pregnant with risks, that has stood firm and has allowed us to enjoy benefits that we now take for granted. So that, for example, the fact that we have free convertibility between EC and US dollars is not something every country enjoys. The fact that that allows us to have relatively low inflation is not something every country enjoys. The fact that it allows us to attract foreign direct investment because investors know they can repatriate profits without any exchange rate controls, and they have free convertibility. Those things give confidence and have worked for the benefit of the people of our region. And long may that continue. So let's keep pushing forward together. We are encouraged. I do want to say a word though for our brothers and sisters who have been hurricane impacted, because while the year was a good year for ECCB, the one thing that obviously stands out or stands apart is the devastation of Hurricanes Irma and Maria. And we feel keenly the pain and the challenges of our brothers and sisters in Dominica, Anguilla, Barbuda in particular. And we stand with them. And we were able to test our solidarity and resilience in the face of those challenges. So we continue to work with those countries in practical and technical and of course financial ways to help them, support them. And obviously the faster they recover, the stronger our currency union becomes. So I just want to say a word of encouragement to them. We visited all of them and we continue to of course give support. We continue also to remember them in our prayers, because it is not easy to rebuild after a Category 5, and that's exactly what they're doing. But
and
we're
resilient. Currently in the another hurricane season.
And we are in another hurricane season, and so the issue of building resilience continues to be a major imperative for us, whether it is fiscal, financial, hardening our infrastructure with respect in the physical and digital realms. That is something that, frankly, a lifelong challenge. We have to continue to build resilience in our region. So let's do it together. We can.
Governor, thank you very much for speaking with us on ECCB Connects.
Thank you, Shamalan. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
To view any episode of ECCB Connects anytime, any place, at your convenience, check us out on YouTube or Facebook at ECCB Connects.
We've come to the end of this week's episode of ECCB Connects. Remember, you can check our website or Facebook page for a copy of the ECCB 2017-2018 annual report.